And pledge of allegiance. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, item C is approval of minutes from the March 1st, 2021 regular council meeting. In the absence of any objections or corrections, the minutes shall stand approved.
The list of donors for the umbrellas at the pool included Napoleon Family Dentistry, but it should have been
Dental Excellence. Dental Excellence.
Yeah, Dental Excellence, yep. Yep. So those are the only small corrections.
All right, good catch. I don't think there's ever been a mistake before. How do we fix that?
There was one, I remember.
We just get that added to next week?
It just changes,
Okay.
so.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item D, citizen communication. If there's anyone in the audience or on WebEx that would like to address council with something that is not on the agenda, please either come up to the podium or you can raise your hand or put a message in the chat. Okay, item E, reports from council committees. Electric Committee and Water, Sewer, Refuse, Recycling, Litter Committee did not meet on March 8th. And E3, Municipal Properties, Building, Land Use, Economic Development Committee met on March 8th. Molly?
Yes, thank you. We went into executive session for economic development where no action was taken.
Okay, thank you. E4, Parks and Rec Committee met earlier tonight for an update on the new aquatic center. Sorry, Ken, I stole your thunder there.
Yeah, you just, I'm speechless.
All right, moving on to item G, introduction of new ordinances and resolutions. G1 is resolution number 006-21, a resolution authorizing contracts with the townships of Napoleon, Harrison, Freedom, and the Village of Florida, and Henry County South Joint Ambulance District for the fire service and or emergency medical service commencing April 1st, 2021, and declaring an emergency. Could I have a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Okay. Joel?
Thank you, Council President. This has been discussed, this item was discussed, I should say, at the Safety and Human Resources Committee in February, late February. And now this resolution authorizes us to enter into the contracts with the townships in the Village of in Florida. We are going to be requesting suspension on this because of the timing. The contracts actually expire April 1st. The next council meeting isn't until April 5th. So in order to expedite it so we can get contracts signed, we'll request suspension. I do want to point one thing out, though, and this is a follow-up to one of the questions that was asked about the non-emergency transport billing, and there was a comment made about how, asking why that is not, the net revenues that come in are not dispersed amongst all of the other contract entities. One, that is, I'll just point out that the question of, I'll use quotes here, fairness was brought to question. And I just want to point out that there are a few things that could be looked at. My recommendation overall is going to keep is going to be to keep the contracts the same. But there are a few things that we take care of that we don't bill for the contract entities. For instance, we do the billing at no cost to them. And that, now everybody does pay for their proportionate share of billing with Acumed, but our staff time doing the inputs for all of the billing is not, between Kim and Stephanie are not billed out to them. So that's a cost that we absorb. I did want to point out too that within the city limits, we do have paper townships. So city residents are paying township taxes for their fire services too. So that's another item. And then the last, probably the most important item, I think, is that right now the EMS allocation is, compared to fire, is 55 to 45. And that percentage hasn't changed since it's been set up. I will point out that, the EMS allocations have been suggested in the past to move that closer to 80%. And that would drastically change the payments for the townships on the EMS side. And that's really, that's probably the most glaring because of the cost of the service, the amount of runs that we go on for EMS compared to fire is just, it could be more. It could be, the gap could be widened to 80-20 if we really wanted it to be that way. So, but I think that the system that we have in place now with the contracts is actually, it works. I think that the cost that the entities, the contract entities that they get from us for that service is a bargain. So my recommendation is just to move forward with this legislation, and we'll move forward with the contracts like they have been in years past. So does anybody have any questions on that?
When our ambulance departs for a non-emergency transport, does that cause anybody in the adjoining districts, does that cause them to have to do anything?
I'll have to,
What's the question, Mayor?
When we roll for a non-emergency transport,
Yeah,
does that cause anybody in the surrounding areas to have to do anything?
no.
Okay,
It's no different, so it's no different if we're on a non-emergency transport or if we're on a EMS call in the city, an EMS call Harrison Township or Napoleon Township or wherever.
okay,
So nothing changes.
okay. And do we do non-emergency for people in the village of Florida and on the other areas as well? Or are they
Yes.
all just in their city limits?
As long as they go, so we do non-emergencies for it, we can't guarantee where that resident would be from, but
Okay.
from Henry County Hospital. So we go from a care facility, a healthcare facility, to another healthcare facility.
Okay,
So we'll either go from, back when it was really originally established, not only was it gonna help with, some of the staffing, but also because of the purpose of constantly transporting into Henry County and the limited amount of non-emergency transports to move the patient from Henry County Hospital to, say, Toledo or back to a long-term care facility or
Right.
wherever. So
Okay.
that's why that was established.
Yeah.
So it could be people from the village of Florida, going to Henry County that just need to be transported.
okay. I don't have a problem with it as long as we're not causing those organizations, those entities to have to do something, right? We send our guys on a non-emergency run, and that means somebody from the village of Florida has to be on standby because of it. You know what I mean? As long as their meter's not ticking, I'm okay with the way it is. But if that ever changes, then we gotta change the revenue then too, because they're incurring costs. That's my opinion.
yep.
Yeah, nothing changes.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
I make a motion for suspension.
Second?
Hey, Rox, please call the roll on suspension.
Dan,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Rox, please call the roll on the resolution.
Dan,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Molly.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Okay, that is passed on first read under suspension. Moving on to item G2, ordinance number 007-21. An ordinance supplementing the annual appropriation measure supplement number 1 for the year 2021 and declaring an emergency, and suspension is requested as well. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Joel,
That would be
or I'm sorry, Kelly?
Kelly.
Thank you. This is supplemental number 1 for Fund 221, the Napoleon Aquatic Center. We moved appropriation for the principal payment to be able to keep the project going. It's to put back that amount that we moved, plus the debt payment is going to be higher because the bond was more than what we originally thought when we went through the budget process. And then the difference for the building and improvements is what we went over in the Parks and Rec Committee, the amount that is remaining for contingency, and then the balance that is available to spend. So the total is $232,519.69.
And what is the reason for suspension?
So that we can make sure that any POs that come in, that we can encumber them to keep the project moving to be able to open on time.
All right, I think that's very important. Anyone have any questions, comments?
And I make a motion for suspension there also.
Second.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll on the suspension.
Dan,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Molly.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
All right, if we have no other questions or comments, please call the roll on the ordinance.
Dan,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Okay, that has passed on first read under suspension. Item G3, resolution number 008-21, a resolution authorizing the city manager of the city of Napoleon to execute any and all documents necessary to apply for and receive financial assistance from the Ohio Department of Transportation State Infrastructure Bank Loan Program for the Oakwood Avenue and American Road project, declaring an emergency, and suspensions requested on this as well.
No need for suspension on this one. I think that was meant for the item number 1.
I see, okay. Could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Joel?
Thank you. We're requesting first read on this item for now. This would allow us to enter into a SIB loan agreement with ODOT so that we can finish the American Road and Oakwood project down to Freedom Drive. I will say that we may have a deviation in this. From the start, we've been working with the Maumee Valley Planning Organization. So a little over a year ago, we were in contact with the State Infrastructure Bank program contacts. And at the time, we weren't given good information at the time, and I've got a lot of that in, through emails and in our phone conversations that we had with them. As of right now, and that was with Dennis Miller and Will Burns, if you know them from the Maumee Valley Planning Organization. Basically, what I'm getting at is the terms that they had originally told us about, that where we could structure the loan for 25 years and backload the payments for when the TIF district builds up a little bit. They've deviated off of that. It's 20 years, and they said that they can't backload the payments now. So what we're looking into right now, and that's what Will and Dennis are looking into, is if what the projects we have out there right now are, and how much TIF revenue we would be bringing in. And that'll help determine what the best course of action is. But with the deviation of the terms that were stated over a year ago compared to what they are now, the SIB option might not be the best option. So we've got 3 weeks, this is the 5th Monday, to be able to come back and put together a better plan. One way or another, sometime soon, that portion of American Road in Oakwood does need to be repaved. that's becoming more of a necessity if you've driven down there and seen the conditions of the roads, especially with the, you know, the increased truck traffic that's in and around that area is starting to, it's starting to pick up a little bit more. So the more development we have over there, the more use that road's gonna get. So, yeah, if you've driven it, you'll know, when you take a closer look at it, you'll know just how much in disrepair that road is becoming. So, one way or another, you know, 3 weeks from today, hoping to have Dennis or Will on the phone too to help explain a little more. But you know, one way or another, we have the TIF in place. If that means we delay the project or do a portion of it with the grant money that we have, and then do the rest at a later time, you know, we can do something like that as well. But for the time being, we still have a little bit, because of what we've information that we have now. First read, and then hopefully we can continue forward, but if not, we'll have a different plan of action at that point. So, any questions on that?
So if we do first read tonight, and then with potential of amending some of what's in here before it passes on by third read?
Yep.
Or do we just vote this down and bring back
That's-
cleaner legislation next time?
I wouldn't recommend that because it might not change at all. It might be that the SIB option still is going to be a good option to move forward with.
I guess, what do you mean that it could be the better option if nothing does change between now and?
Well, what Will's doing now is Will and Dennis are looking at what the TIF district is gonna bring in as of right now in the next year or so, from a cash flow perspective, how much money is going to be coming in as revenue from the TIF district to pay for the project. And a portion of that, you know, portion of that project is grant funded. About 300 to 350 in grant funds. So,
And that
Those-
grant money is available if we have a TIF district or not?
yeah, that's already in hand. And that does have a time limit on it.
The first half of the project was done this way though, right? With the 25 years backloaded?
The first half of the project was done because of Love's and
Understand.
because of partial grant and, well, two different grants. Two grants.
So we didn't TIF that one at all,
Nope,
but that's in the TIF district.
it is. The properties are.
So do we know what the reason is for the misinformation, or how things changed from?
Yeah, I mean, the only reason is that we were given the information from the program director.
Well, The
And-
difference is the state had to run through COVID dollars. They don't have as much money as they had to.
And that wasn't stated to us, but it definitely, you know,
Same
it definitely
reason
changed.
Ohio was not quite as effective last year for farmers as it was supposed to be. Because the money got used up by different stuff.
I will tell you that on the call that we had today, it was very explicitly clear that it is for 20 years. In the email that I have from January 21st of 2020, she stated that it could be for 30 years. So
That's the difference.
that's a big difference for us. And it was the same person. It wasn't, not like it changed people either, so.
If Billy's out there, I'd like to get a little bit of insight from our law director, see if he has any thoughts or opinions on it.
So if you're asking if we should proceed on a first read as Joel suggested, I would say that I agree. Seems like as Joel continues to research this option, it may turn out to be, like Joel said, our best option, but to shoot it down now and delay further, bringing back separate legislation, I think that would be unwise.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Billy. All right. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, Rox, please call the roll.
Dan,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Okay, that will move on to second reads. Okay, moving on to item H, second reads of ordinances and resolutions. H1 is ordinance number 004-21, an ordinance approving the renewal of a certain agricultural district located in the city of Napoleon, Ohio, at the location of County Road P, as applied for by Linda Ottermatt, and declaring an emergency. Do you have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Joel?
Nothing new to report on this.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Dan,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Molly.
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Okay, that one will move on to third read. Item I is third readings of ordinances and resolutions. I1, ordinance number 002-21, an ordinance accepting the annexation to the city of Napoleon of 3.038 acres of land, more or less owned by William R. Myers. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Joel?
Nothing new to report on this either.
Okay, anyone have any questions or comments? Hearing none, Rox, please call the roll.
Dan,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Okay, that has passed on third read. Okay, item J, good of the city. J1 is succession or action approval of power supply cost adjustment factor for March 2021 as 3-month average factor 0.01708 and JV2 0.025980. Joel?
Thank you. If you look at the power supply cost adjustment factor, it did go down. When you look at the previous 2 months that it's averaged on, those were high. But when you actually look into, which column is this? The power purchase column, you'll see that it did go down because of the Morgan Stanley contract coming off. This is for January's billing. So this is the first month, and as the 3-month average over the next 2 months, we should see reductions in the power supply cost adjustment factor going forward. So this is the first month that we've seen those reductions. It's good news.
Yeah, that's exciting. I feel like we've been talking about when the contract falls off since I've been on council, so
Right.
glad to see it finally here.
Yeah.
Once we get to the full, 3 full months, what do you anticipate the cost being, going from 12 or 13 cents to?
11 to 11 and a half.
Cool.
It'll still fluctuate, but not as, I don't think it'll be as wild. And, you're always going to have those fluctuations in, like, say, April usage months when we don't have as much usage. So then in the summer months, because we're always that 3-month lag behind, so it takes a while for it to catch up. But, spring and fall are going to be your lower usage months, so therefore, you should see the 3 months after the spring and fall is when when it kind of shifts up again, so it goes up and down, but it'll be a lot lower than what it's been over the last 5 years.
Good.
All right, can I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Dan,
Yeah.
Joe,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes?
Molly,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Okay, that has been approved. Item J2, discussion or action, PC 21-01, special use permit, conditional use permit, -2950 Enterprise Avenue. Mr. Mayor?
So we had a zoning meeting last week about this, and Honey Blossom Orchard, and Mr. Hibbert is here. They had a well. That well is coming outside of the building. Basically all the pipes from that well to the building have been capped. I think there's one last step they need to take care of. But this did pass through the planning commission by unanimous vote. So it's quite a project, and I don't want to steal Mr. Hibbert's thunder here if he wants to say anything, but he was very complimentary to Mr. Rathke and the staff out there to help him with this project. So I don't know if you want to add anything or not, Mr. Hibbert.
Well, I've got some handouts similar to
If you
what
want,
we did.
yeah, if you want to come on up,
Tuesday, so-
yeah. You want to come, just introduce yourself for the record.
You need a new one, Joel.
No, I'm good. I got
No,
one.
you need a new one.
Oh, I need a new one. Gotcha. Okay.
There's a new one.
Yeah, and during the conversation, we also talked about the ag district. Is that what we can talk about?
That's what's in this packet.
Okay, perfect.
Plus, there's a draft of the letter that we kind of talked about on Tuesday night then too.
Okay,
So, I'm Brad Hibbard, owner of Honey Blossom Orchard. Just here for questions and whatever else falls into place. We had the Wood County building inspector out probably about 2 weeks ago now. And with what we proposed originally was to try and bring the building up to 250 seating capacity. The reason we picked the 250 is because there's a code that, under certain classifications of what the property, or not the property, but the business is, square footage, where you're gonna have the people and stuff like that, there's a classification, and then you get into fire suppression and stuff. At 250, and with being on a single story, you do not have to do fire suppression, so that's why we chose the number of 250. Now, the 250 number is basically loosely put there just because of this code. Now, with what Mike told us from the county, he don't think that we can probably do 250. So we're at a point where we'd have to do discussions of what the actual seating capacity is. Like we talked, the well's been capped, the pressure tank and controls have all been removed. There is a provision, I guess, lack of better words in there, where someone from the city, if it's the operations or water department, to come in and do an annual inspection of the location of where the city water comes in, just to verify that there is not well operations in that vicinity again. During the conversation we had with the Wood County building inspector, he introduced us to something called agritourism. Now, on your second, third, and fourth pages, starts talking about ag tourism. For our property, we'd like to go after the ag tourism, because what that gives us is some of what we've already been doing is bringing people into the community for different various things. Back in like 2018, we had an OFA tour, which is the Ohio Ecological Food and Farm Association. We were one of the first stops of OFA in Northwest Ohio ever. We brought in I think about 30-some people. There's people from the Dayton, Columbus area that came to it. So we're bringing people in from outside just this little segment of Ohio. In 2019, we had the Beekeeping Annual Field Day, which originally was scheduled to be in Defiance at the Bee Sanctuary. Due to some political issues there, that was canceled. We were contacted and asked if we would be willing to host the event, which we did. There was probably somewhere near about 75 to 100 beekeepers there from somewhere between 8 and 10 counties for that. Later that year, we had the 20-plus acres of sunflowers that we opened up for 3 weekends. In September, the first weekend was Labor Day weekend, and 80 to 90% of the vehicles that attended had Indiana plates on them. The second weekend was our biggest weekend, and we had plates from all over the place. We actually had 2 professional wildlife photographers there. One of them is actually nationally recognized. He came out and did a special bid on it. For the total of the 3 weekends, we had approximately somewhere between 750 and 1,000 people come through there to take pictures of the sunflowers. We had engagement pictures, we had maternity pictures, we had a wedding party picture, family pictures, and just people out just wanting to take pictures. Then, let's see, where am I at? So basically with like that, we may not necessarily be bringing in everything, but as a tourism aspect of it, we're bringing people in, like the beekeeping thing. I know darn well that the people were going to Walmarts and Chiefs and buying stuff because we had a plate to pass for a potluck that day, and you can just see it right there when, you know, there's a clamshell with a sticker on it saying where it came from. So, I mean, it's trickled down. There's people going to other places and making purchases. I know we do beekeeping seminars typically. We haven't done them in the last year just because of not knowing how we can set up for seating and stuff like that. But we've had where we've brought in meals from like Hills and stuff like that, so the people that are there for an 8-hour event are fed and they're buying from the local areas. We do a Build-A-Hive class where the same thing, people are there for about 5 to 6 hours and want stuff to snack, you know, drinks and stuff like that. So they're actually purchasing from the businesses in the area.
Great.
I guess that's kind of where I stand on that. Questions or?
And again, all the planning commission did was say it's okay because the well is now outside. The agritourism was brought up as basically the next step. That's not the main topic that the planning commission met for last week.
Correct.
I mean, everything sounds like great. Is there any reason that we?
Well, we'll go through the steps, right? We'll go through the planning commission steps. And because they're, I think they just got exposed this last week to make sure, you know, because it's new to Honey Blossom, probably new to us. You
Yeah.
know, and just to make sure we do all our homework and do our research, and
And as far as we know,
we're trying to do the steps to make sure we don't miss something, you know, on both sides. So,
and as far as we know, there's only really 2 places in this area that has gotten an agritourism, and there's not even a word for, I mean, like a word for it. If it's classification or permit or tag or whatever, it's just, if you read it, they just throw out the word agritourism. The greenhouses in Delta, Nature Fresh, they are in an agritourism tag or permit, whatever you want to call it. And there's one place in Grand Rapids that has been approved for agritourism. They are in the construction phase right now, and they're hoping to be completed this year. So it's something that is coming along. There is some other stuff, and I think most of it's more towards the Columbus area where there's been some conversations of what do and do not fit as agritourism. But with us having the farm ground there and the honey operation, we definitely would fit within that agricultural part of the agritourism.
So, Mr. Mayor, what's the next step in this process then?
So what we would do is we would approve Planning Commission 2101 for the well stuff. And then I think what they're asking for, the way it looks here, is for Planning Commission to meet again, talk about agritourism district. Yeah.
Correct.
Yep. So allows our guys to do our, Kevin and the other people to do their work.
Okay, you answered my question, thank you.
That's a
That's your understanding too, right, Mr. Herbert? I'm not,
What's that?
that's your understanding too, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the letter you got there, we just drafted this weekend. I
Okay.
brought it with you guys. I mean, I know we're kind of going forward to go backwards, but just to get you guys
Heads up.
knowing
always
what
appreciate it.
agritourism is and
Right.
what the thought process is.
Yep.
Much appreciated, for sure.
Right. I think people will travel for that. And we're in a rural community. I don't know why we wouldn't want to
Well,
use
just like
those.
the beekeeping classes.
Right.
We've had people from Oregon, Wayne, Ohio, coming that far just to do beekeeping classes and the Build-A-Hive classes. So, I mean, there is some travel involved in it.
Sure.
Anyone else have any questions or comments? All right. I think
Thank you.
this is great. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thanks.
You got a motion to,
Yep.
yeah, okay.
So entertain a motion to approve the PC 2101.
So moved.
Second?
Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Dan,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Okay, that has been approved.
Thank you, Mr. Herbert.
Thank you.
Item J3, discussion and action recommendation for tentative award for the 2021 wastewater treatment plant improvement project pending approval by DEFA. Joel?
Thank you. So we opened bids on March 10th for the wastewater treatment plant rehab project, and we were delighted to see the numbers come back in under the engineer's estimate, and actually with all of the alternates under the engineer's estimate. So this is good news for the project and good news for the sewer fund. You know, the planning and engineering and careful thought that went into this has paid off, and now the next hard part starts, which is actual construction. So we're recommending that we move forward with the award of the bid to with all the alternates to Kirk Brothers Company Incorporated out of Findlay. Would like, you know, if Chad and Jeremy, who's on the phone right now,
Chad behind you.
could say a few words. So I don't know who wants to go first. Chad, do you have anything you want to add to that, or?
I guess the biggest thing would be if there are any questions regarding what the project is. I tried to outline it the best I could in the memo. Admittedly, Jay Oakley has a better understanding of the treatment process than I do. I just manage the project. He actually works and runs the plant.
Do we have an idea when we'll get approval from DEFA?
We're on the agenda for their April meeting. We met the deadline for that, so they should approve it. I believe it's usually the third Thursday of April. Once we get that approval, then we can execute the contract.
If that happens, we're gonna start moving dirt June 1st, July 1st.
I think
January
actually
31st?
move dirt, you're probably looking into 1st of July, although we could see movement. I don't see any major work getting done other than possibly in the dewatering facility. Prior to that, although when they start working in the dewatering facility, from the outside you might not notice much, but that is probably one of the most critical components of this project is the age and well, the equipment's just wore out, so we have that slated to get done first.
But when they start, how long do you anticipate that group being here?
We are allowing them, we have 2 completion dates. There's 730 calendar days from the notice to proceed. That's for the whole project. However, the completion for the dewatering facility is 270 calendar days.
Okay.
We're hoping they would be finished by the end of the year. It's probably going to be more along the lines of January or February 22.
Okay. It's a 2-year project from go time until, okay.
Right. The completion date being 730 days, but there will be punch list items and some other minor components after the completion date that always runs a little longer. But you could look at it as about 2 years.
And obviously they bid the lease, but I don't think I've heard of this group before, so I'm sure we've talked to references and that kind of stuff, right?
We checked the references. We worked with Jones and Henry. They have done, this is what they do.
Okay.
They just have not worked for the city of Napoleon in the past.
Okay.
However, with this type of construction, it's fairly specialized. There aren't too many contractors that have worked for the city along this line before.
Right.
Jay, do you have any comments?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to add along there. We're all at the plant very excited about the project getting started. Most of you probably know that some of the stuff's, probably a little overdue even for replacement, so it's going to be a good thing for the plant, a good thing for the city. Yeah, that's all I really have, unless anybody has questions.
I think the mayor asked a couple of the questions I was going to ask, so.
Yeah, I did some research this weekend on this Kirk Brothers, and they specialize in water treatment and wastewater facilities, so I was pretty impressed with what I read about them.
Yeah, I think they're going to be good. A little bit of research that I've done, and from what Jones and Henry, our engineering firms, told us, they came pretty highly recommended. So.
All right, so tonight, you're just looking for approval for the tentative award?
Yep.
To the bid?
That's right.
And I'll make a motion.
Second?
Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Dan,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
All right. Moving on to item J4, discussion or action on approval of plans and specifications for the American Road and Oakwood Avenue Improvements Project.
Thank you. This was supposed to dovetail with the other piece of legislation. The request here is to have this tabled until the next council meeting so that we can have enough time to evaluate whether we advertise now or postpone an advertisement to a later time where figure out what the full project scope is going to be too. So.
Sounds good. Could I have a motion to table?
So moved.
Second.
Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Dan,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Okay, that is tabled. Item J5, discussion or action for purchase of small dump truck and appurtenances off state contract.
Ted, do you want to talk about this?
Sure. We're just requesting council's approval, and as mentioned, we would choose to either purchase the vehicle off the state contract, or if we can get it from a private dealer at a lower price. We're still researching that, but if we can have approval to follow the terms of the budget and stay within the pricing outlined in the state contract, we'll move forward with getting that small dump truck, or get small dump purchased.
All right, anybody have any questions?
The salt spreaders and plows we want to get brand new with that truck too.
We do have in the budget to get that equipment, but that's usually outfitted. Anything we need would be outfitted after that. This would be for the chassis itself,
Okay.
unless Jeff needs to clarify. I think he's on.
That's correct, but this memo, or this is a two-part purchase here. You buy the chassis from a dealer and or off a city contract, and then the same thing happens with the outfitting of the project.
Okay.
All right, we need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Dan?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Okay, that has been approved. Item J6, discussion or action on water sewer contract with Village of Florida.
Thank you, Council President. This would just be for the water service contract for the Village of Florida. As you know, the contract that we have with them is currently expired, and we had sent a letter to them back in July of 2020 offering to extend the contract out. We offered a rate of $7.77 per 1,000 gallons. 777 also factors in that declining block rate would go away and eliminate the surcharge because it's all rolled into one per 1,000 gallon price, which was what the contract communities wanted at the time. This also would establish a water rate review board. Also as discussed with, would meet with the Board of Public Affairs and the Council Committee and the Water, Sewer, Refuse, Recycling, and Litter Committee on an as-needed basis to go over items related to rates. And then we propose to have a contract term that would coincide with the debt service of the water treatment plant reconstruction project. So at the time, it was approximately 29 years. We also sent a letter to the Village of Molina with similar terms and conditions if they wanted to enter into a new contract with us as well. So, but at this point, you know, I wanted to have this on here because it's been out there for a while, and you know, I think at this point it would need approval from council through legislation and by the village council as well. So I believe that they're meeting Monday of next week, and if they request attendance, I'll be attending there too to answer any of their questions. But you know, the first stop is here, so I guess the next step would be either to you know, discuss it here, and if you wanted to carry this forward, it would be a required legislation at this point. So obviously, it's in draft form. We'll have some, you know, maybe some tweaks here and there once we get Billy's review and the village solicitor's review of it, and there may be some wording changes back and forth, but substantially that's generally speaking, the terms and conditions I just outlined that were in the letter are in this contract form right now. So that's all I have, and Kate, unless anybody has any questions right now.
If they do ask for next Monday, let me know. I'll go with you.
Okay. I do want to point one thing out, though, and this is something that just talks about and touches on the operations and maintenance of their system. So, you know, representations of both parties. There is a section in here that talks about, I'm trying to find it here, operations and maintenance agreement. At a certain point, what I think the smaller water systems and villages are finding is that they're difficult to manage on their own. We're finding that the EPA is pushing a lot of these smaller systems into being maintained and managed by bigger water systems that have, some built-in redundancies and whatnot. So the request was from Florida to take a look at operating and maintaining their system on a separate contract basis. So this clause in here in number 9 just says that, we'll take a look at that with them. So Napoleon and Florida will look at entering into an operations and maintenance agreement if it's something, and obviously that would have to also come back to council separate, as a separate agreement. There would be a cost to it, but any more managing and maintaining water systems is becoming more and more cumbersome in terms of testing, valve exercising, backflow prevention, leak detection, hydrant flushing, tower inspections, meter reading, billing, all of that are parts of managing the system that are more and more difficult for smaller systems to do just on their own, just because of the expense of it. So where, places that have staff and systems already built in place to manage those makes it a lot easier to absorb some of that. Also with the licensures for operators of record. So just that's a important little piece of this as a potential follow-up at later dates. So I don't know if anybody has any questions on that, but I'll just leave it open.
The portion about the Water and Sewer Committee and having a member of that's something new and different, right?
That is, well, it would be, yes. Again, it was in here as the letter went out to everybody, including at the time it was Liberty Center as well. And just, offering, satellite communities a chance to come in and hear what items would affect rates that they're also affected by.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be a recommendational committee to council along with the Board of Public Affairs and Water and Sewer Committee.
Mm-hmm. So it would change the makeup of our current committee? So we'd
The
have two
committee-
council members?
The committee would stay the same. The Water and Sewer Committee would stay
Oh.
the same. The Board of Public Affairs would stay the same. This would just be the contract entities as a committee to come in and review.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? You need a motion for this right now, Joel?
That's, again, that's up to, I leave it up to council. If we want to move forward, then if everybody's comfortable with that, could move forward with drafting legislation. And then brought back for April 5th, 3 weeks from now.
Just preparing it.
Yep.
For their
Yeah.
approval.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're not agreeing to anything yet, we're
No.
just
Just need a motion to.
agreeing to bring an
draft.
agreement.
Right.
I'll make that motion to draft legislation.
I'll second it.
Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Dan?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to item J7, discussion or action to enter into a contract with Aerotech Incorporated for engineering supplemental staffing. Joel?
Thank you, Council President. As you know, we've advertised for engineering positions a few times. The last person we hired was Zach Berry, and he stuck around for, I think, just over a year, right?
Just shy of 2 years.
Just shy of 2 years. So what we did is, last time is we went through Aerotech to hire him. It's a temp agency, so requesting to do the same thing. I believe we advertised also, still didn't get any, in the conventional way, didn't get any candidates to apply. We reached out to Aerotech and, actually, no, I take that back. We did get candidates and they were interviewed, and we feel it'd be best to go through Aerotech with some of the other candidates that they have.
Chad, how big of a difference is it between civil engineering and mechanical engineering?
Depends on what you're asking. The simplest way anyone ever explained it to me was that mechanical engineers build bombs, civil engineers build targets. It's just a different scale. It's the same skill set. We're seeking a civil engineer, but that doesn't mean a mechanical engineer couldn't do it.
Okay.
However, if someone went to college to be a mechanical engineer, they specialize in that area because of their interest.
Right.
If we hired a mechanical engineer, they could, I'm sure, could learn the job, but are we going to be able to retain them? I don't know.
Okay.
That would be a concern I would have.
Sure.
With Aerotech, we have spoken to them. They do have candidates that we've actually interviewed 4 individuals. They all want the job. We have a few that we really liked, but because the contracts with Aerotech are for a year, that's going to exceed $25,000.
Okay.
So I have to have legislation moving forward. And the individuals that we interviewed and were considering they all understand our time frame. This is what we have to do to operate. So if we get the approval, and legals reviewed the contract, had no issues with the contract. If we get approval, we'll move forward. If not, we'll continue to advertise. But I know HR has been working hard trying to find us someone. We just haven't had much luck.
Okay.
So because the pool is so small, or why?
I've spoken to private firms as well, and generally private firms have higher salaries than on the government side. And even with the higher salaries, they're struggling to find anyone. The pool is small, and then 2, a lot of the candidates that are out there are being attracted to the more metropolitan areas. It's just what happens. We have to attract someone to Napoleon, Ohio. I believe every engineering firm I work with is currently trying to hire somebody.
Is that why Zach left?
Zach went to the private side, which paid better.
How much is this contract for?
It would be, what they get paid is their hourly wage times 1.8, but we pay no benefits, we pay no retirement. And then it modifies a little bit for time and a half and double time. We will get into some time and a half, but we don't, I've never had an engineering department employee in double time.
But when you take out the benefits, it's almost a wash.
Honestly,
Yeah, probably a little more
I haven't-
expensive than that.
I haven't sat down and run those numbers, but by the time you figure I believe it's 14% PERS and some other add-ons, and then healthcare family plans, $21,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very comparable.
Okay.
And if the person doesn't work out too, the advantage here is that there's no strings attached. I mean, we can end it whenever we want
Yes,
to.
and at the completion of the 12-month contract, which is proposed, that employee then goes on a 1-year probationary period with the city if we retain them. So there is some safety in it. I believe in the contract that it's either 2 or 4 weeks. We can give notice and terminate the contract with no penalty. But yeah, I worked with legal on that part. They reviewed the contract, and we did use Aerotech in the past.
We need just to draft legislation.
Yes.
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Dan?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
All right, moving on to item J8, discussion and action to enter into a contract with Stantec Consulting Services Incorporated for the 2021 GIS project. Joel?
Keep it with Chad.
Chad again?
Yeah, once again, for the past several years, I believe it's since 2013, at council's direction, we started the GIS program. For several years, we budgeted $100,000 to have that work done outside. The last few years, we've been reducing that budget, and we reduced it again. This year's budget's $50,000, and we are hoping later this year to hire a full-time person in-house. We're not sure if we're gonna be able to do that or not. Once again, it would depend on if we can find someone. But since 2013, Stantec Consulting has always managed that system for us, and they still maintain it. What I'm requesting is council to direct the law director to draft legislation to allow us to enter into a contract with Stantec, assuming the law director agrees that it makes sense to not utilize quality-based selection and go with a sole source or single source contract, similar to what we've done the last several years. We will continue to try to bring this work in-house, but that will hinge on whether we're able to find an individual that can do that work.
What role does Stantec play in the overall system?
They created it for us. They update it and maintain it. Currently, it's housed on the cloud, but they have primary access to it because if someone were to get in there without the proper skill set, they actually could delete it. So any updates we have, we send to them. They assist us with our hydrant flushing, our valve exercising program. They are assisting us. Pretty soon we're going to be bringing to you our 2021 sewer cleaning program. They help us with that by getting the maps prepared out of the GIS. They are the ones skilled at using this tool. We're able to use it, but not to that level. Andy Faley from Stantec is classified as a GISP, which is a GIS professional, which is what we're trying to hire. But for the most part, they maintain our GIS, our Geographical Information System, our GIS.
So if we hired someone, then we would no longer need their service.
We wouldn't need as much of their service. There will definitely be a learning curve for whoever we bring in that's not familiar with our specific GIS. And so if we brought someone in, I could see us not necessarily using the entire contract, but we would still like to have their support services so that if there is a question or additional assistance is needed, we have it in place. Even moving forward, there's a chance we could look at keeping them on an annual contract at a much reduced rate if we bring someone in. I would foresee that being $5,000 to $10,000 annual contract for assistance, could that be greatly reduced to what we have been of $100,000 for several years?
What would the estimated compensation be for the person that you would hire, including their benefits and things on an annual basis?
More than $50,000.
But they do more than GIS.
I would hope so. That would be what they would be skilled at. We have a myriad of things back there that if time allows, we could definitely have them assist with, possibly even something on with more of an engineering aspect to it, if assuming they had time.
There's a lot of GIS field work too.
There's a lot of GIS field work that needs to be done. We just haven't done it because we would have to pay so much for it. Your GIS is rarely complete. It changes continuously, so updating it would be constant. And $50,000 or even $100,000 doesn't get us a final product until someone's working on it majority of the time. It probably will never be a final product.
Okay.
Long term, we'd like to even have it incorporated into our work order process, but that's down the road.
Any other questions? Okay. We'll need a motion to draft direct the law director to draft legislation.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Dan?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
All right, moving on to item J9, discussion or action, first quarter budget adjustments. Kelly?
Thank you. This is just the standard first quarter budget adjustments. Right now, there'll be supplementals, but there could be other things. So we'll discuss it in the Finance and Budget Committee, and then ask that it's passed in our suspension on the first meeting in April.
All right, thank you. All right, can we have a motion to direct the law director to draft legislation?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Dan?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Roxanne, I assume you already put that on for finance and budget? Thank you. Okay, J10, discussion or action on amendment to the reoccurring cost resolution.
Just requesting legislation to add a vendor to it.
All right, could I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Rox, please call the roll.
Dan?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Molly?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
All right, item J11, discussion or action approval to apply for Walmart grant for fire training facility. G for you.
Yeah, this is the local community Walmart grant that, as you recall, we've applied for in the past. And we are hoping to upgrade the temperature monitoring system for the burn rooms with it this year. So we're just asking for approval to apply.
All right.
How much would it be?
The amount, we're not sure exactly because there's so many different types, finding the correct heat temp probes. So there's a few other things that we, we're hoping to be able to get that, and then also other minor improvements out there. But usually you apply, they've always been good about just what we're trying to allocate it towards training, and so just to be able to use out there. So I'm not exactly sure on that. We're actually doing the research on those certain different ones. Ben does claim that, and we've reached out to the electric department, trying to find an old stoplight, see where, we try to keep those burns at 800 degrees. And so you always have to monitor these temperatures and you have to record them for each one of these live fire burns. And so we would like to, Ben have a system that then can hook up to the stoplight, so it turns red when it hits that 800 degrees, and then you know. So just trying to factor it all in, so we haven't identified the exact product yet.
Okay, Chief, I'll ask a stupid question. Why 800 degrees? Because I'm thinking, hey, there's fire in there, let's go train to put it out. I know this is needed, just burn me up here, because I'm thinking, there's fire, hose, let's go.
There is certain fires, so like in the bottom right container, that is
Yes.
our fire behavior lab. And so putting students inside there, as you build up the fire, that they can watch how the fire builds up, how the smoke banks down, and how the fire can come right up over top of you.
Okay.
And so it's just the whole growth and the whole way that the fire continues to burn. But safety-wise, NFPA standards, and then the 1403, that 800 is at different levels of where the temperature has to be controlled at. So this is actually about 6 feet back from the actual burn crib where you're gathering these temperatures. Because if we did it right in the flame impingement area, it'd be a lot higher than that, So that is one reason.
Okay, you're talking about we need a temperature, I'm like, what for? It's fire.
Yeah.
We'll put it out.
Yeah.
And then what'd you call it, the fire?
Fire behavior lab?
Behavior lab.
Yes.
Behave.
It sounds like detention, right?
Right.
You were a good burner today, fire.
Yeah.
Behavior lab. You have to stay after.
So I do want to point out though that Walmart has been an excellent support of the training within our area. We've been able to maximize these grants for a numerous amount of years, and they've just been excellent. So
Very generous in our
Yeah.
community, yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Dan,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Molly.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
All right. We will, you go to the city, go around the table here. I'm going to go first today. First thing I want to bring up is thoughts and prayers still go out to Brian Keller and his family. Just horrific thing happened to his family. Want to let him know we're all thinking about him and his family.
Yeah. We're glad Jen is here.
Yes.
We wish it was Brian.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. On a lot happier note, we had a few people represent Napoleon this past weekend in the state. We had a wrestler, Demetrius Hernandez, just a huge accomplishment to make it as far as he did. Very exciting, and I think there's some girls basketball that they did pretty well. Some unfinished business from last year, totaling now a record of 53-1 in the last 2 years, just phenomenal. Really like, just besides the basketball, what they've done for our community and brought a lot of people together, a lot of happiness since a lot of issues in the last year. So I want to thank all the girls and the coaches and the athletic department for all their hard work. And last thing I have is executive session for discuss personnel. And Kelly.
Thank you, nothing tonight.
Okay, thank you. Molly?
No, nothing tonight. You said pretty much what I was going to say, so.
All right, Jeff?
I would like to see what it takes to have a children at play sign placed in the neighborhood. One of the neighbors had an altercation last week with a driver going up and down the road at an excessive speed. Just in a 500 feet area, there's about 15 kids at the age from 9 up to 2 years old.
Is that on Sheffield?
Strong Street.
On Strong
please.
Street.
There's a no outlet sign right there in one of the yards, that a sign to be put on that children at play or
Yeah.
whatever the sign is now. I don't know if that's even a sign anymore. Or if there isn't something new.
You think on the dead end or over by Sheffield or
Right
Sheffield
on
and
the corner
Strong?
of Sheffield and Strong. There's no outlet, something could be placed below it, if that's possible, please.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Lori?
I am going to piggyback a little bit on the basketball weekend, just because I want to congratulate the team and the coaches. And my thought was just, if there was no story, if there wasn't a history behind it, it was just a really awesome game to watch and a pretty incredible performance. And so then thank you to City Manager and Chief O'Brien and Chief Mack for everything that took place before the game and after the game, and certainly Saturday night was just a really great community gathering, and thank all of you for everything that you did to make sure that happened and be as cool as it was. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
Chief Mack and Chief O'Brien, thanks for your coming to Rotary and talking to us, appreciate it. Gives us a lot of education there, really, really appreciate all the hard work, and I think Rotary really kind of appreciated you guys coming and talking about what goes on, and I think the reports opened up some eyes for some of the Rotarians, so thank you very much.
Didn't appreciate the embarrassment of not knowing the trivia answers. Just saying.
Me too,
Heads up.
yeah, I missed mine too. And so did somebody else. I'm not gonna mention his name, it was Mr. Joel Major.
I got one right.
But not your question,
Right.
Yeah.
I got the fire department one right.
okay, but not last Thursday.
Not
Yeah.
last Thursday, yeah.
Obviously, the Wildcat was painted in '81 when the boys won. It's not terrible, I've seen it worse, but can we get a fresh coat of paint on it for this year?
Yeah, I think that's part of the plan.
The other question I have is, obviously, it was originally done in '81. Can we get 1981 in one of the crosswalks, and 2021 another one of the crosswalks?
Yeah,
That's cool.
Is that possible?
yeah.
Just to be able to, just, if we gotta change them later, we'll change them later, but that's, we
Yeah.
can do that. I got a nice text from Defiance Mayor McCann congratulating the city and the girls for their big win, so I thought that was really nice. And then I got a text from Commissioner Myers, and all it said was, "Take that, COVID." So I thought that was really kind of neat. I think we ought to invite the girls to come to the April 5th meeting, and we can present them with proclamation, and maybe we can have a sign made up by then. We put them on the entrance signs to Napoleon, home state champs, and water polo champs is up there right now, and Sam Meese, and get another one for the girls, and if we can have that kind of ready to go by then, it'd be kind of neat to take a picture. And if this room's too small, we'll find a place, right? We can find a place. We can do it outside. It's getting darker later, and if they show up at 7 o'clock, we could probably do it right away. Outside, however we're gonna do that, so.
Yep.
Last year, COVID took their trip to the Final Four, but this year was not gonna take our celebration away. So, good job, Joel and Chiefs and Ops and everybody for putting that together. That was a special night. I think we made a lot of memories, so. Growing up, I heard a lot of stories about, 1981, this happened, and this happened after the boys won, so. Well, now we got our own memories for what happened in 2021, so, yeah. That's all I had. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dan?
Nothing much different other than just echoing what everybody else said. The 4-year progress of that team and what they've done for the community and for the high school, and especially in a year of COVID. I think it was great. having the opportunity to go to that game and then coming back and seeing the students dancing in the center of the street. Now, maybe that wasn't appropriate, but it just seemed appropriate at the time. And even Chief Mack giving up his car to some people to do cheers, if I believe right. So, again, that's a big plus for the city and for the high school. That's all.
Thank you. Ken?
I have nothing more to add to that.
Ross?
It's so cool to be a part of a community that actually values that stuff. Obviously, coming from an outside town, we went to state a lot and never had that kind of experience. I was actually texting my parents and some friends back in Arkansas and was sending them videos and photos of the police escort and the fire escort and the party downtown, and those are memories that weren't a part of my childhood. So to see it makes you appreciate the small town, the community here. So
Even to the state of Washington.
even in the state of Washington. That's all I have.
I got a mulligan.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Hey, Ross, you said it, it just reminded me of, it was the sheriff, our police, our fire, but then also, yeah, I'm sorry, there's other departments involved too, so I don't
That's what I was gonna bring up too.
Yeah.
The other fire departments, Holgate, New Bavaria, South Richland, and then McClure. Is there anybody else? I think,
And if we missed anybody else, we didn't miss them on purpose.
right.
So that was something else, so I didn't mean to.
And that, from my understanding, you didn't have to reach out to them.
No.
They asked if they could come do that. That's awesome.
Wow.
Okay. Anything else, Ross?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right. Okay, Billy.
Nothing from me, thank you.
And Joel?
Got a notice late Friday after the agenda was published. We need to request council to direct the law director to draft legislation for the ODOT salt purchase contract. Every year, just so you know, and I think, Ross, you know this from last year too, and refresher for everybody else. In the spring, ODOT comes out with their, we purchase our salt, road salt from ODOT in the summer. And when they tell us, we need to act on it right away. And they only give us 30 days. And seeing as though it's a fifth Monday for us, I'm going to request suspension on that legislation too. So for April 5th, if council could approve that to have Billy draft legislation for the 5th.
Someone want to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Dan,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Molly.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
And also wanted to confirm that we did receive Tom Ashbaugh's retirement letter today, so it's official, I guess. He's put 32 great years in for the city, a lot of service. Great person, great worker. We're going to be very sad to see him go. But at least, turning in this letter gets us to, it gives us a chance to move forward with backfilling a position. So sad to see him go, and request to go into executive session regarding economic development. It'll be brief.
Okay. All right. Can I have a motion to go into executive session for economic development?
So moved.
Second.
Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Dan,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Molly.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
And could I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel?
So moved.
Second.
Hey, Rox, please call the roll.
Dan,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
Jeff.
Yes.
Molly.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
You can do the,
Take time out.
yeah, executive session for economic development first, Joel.
First, okay.
You good?
Rox?
Yep, we're good.
Okay.
All right. Could I have a motion to come out of executive session for economic development?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Dan,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
All right, no action taken. And could I have a motion to come out of executive session for discussion of personnel?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Dan,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
All right, no action taken. Move on to item L, approve payment of bills and financial reports.
I have a question on the bill.
Yes, sir.
On page 4, about halfway down, is the 17,290 for private rehab of 1146 Michigan Avenue. What was that?
Hang on just a second.
Is that a sewer, the sewer tap?
No, it's for the CHIP loan through Maumee Valley Planning.
So that's the out, we get some money back then for that, Kelly?
Yes, because they should sign a contract. So that's all vetted through Maumee Valley, and then we get the information to pay out.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, if there's no others, and the payment of bills and financial reports shall stand approved. We have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Rox, please call the roll.
Dan,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
We are adjourned.